Hi, and welcome to this video from Accountant's Desktop, where we'll take you through our Excel-based working paper solution for BAS jobs. We'll begin with an overview of the key features, and then take a closer look at the workbook, including the dashboard, job administration and workflow sheets, GST calculations and reconciliations, payroll calculations and reconciliations, PAYG Instalments, FBT variations, the annual BAS Summary, and BAS Reconciliations. If you're interested in a particular area, you can use the links below the video to jump directly to that section. Our BAS job papers are multi-sheet Excel workbooks, with each workbook designed as an all-in-one working paper solution for a particular type of accounting job. Let's start with some of the key features of our BAS job papers. First, your data stays local. There's just one multi-sheet Excel file. You download it from our website and save it with the client's other records in your document management system. You can keep the client's BAS reports, calculations, and supporting working papers for the entire financial year together in the one file. This makes the work easier to review and means the information is readily available when preparing later activity statements or the client's annual accounts. The workbook can reconcile all major BAS items across the year, including those with different reporting cycles and those with changes to their GST or PAYG withholding cycles during the year. For each reporting period, the workbook produces a draft activity statement showing the key amounts against the relevant BAS labels. Alongside those figures, you can also see the reconciliation balances supporting the amounts reported. The workbook includes calculations for variations to GST instalments, PAYG instalments, and FBT instalments. An annual BAS summary is updated automatically as each period is completed. At the end of the financial year, that summary can be copied into the client's annual accounts working paper file. Data can be brought into the workbook using our Import Excel routine, or simply by copying and pasting from other reports. You can also paste screenshots of supporting information directly into the workbook. And importantly, we only protect our formulas and permanent text. All other areas of the worksheets remain unprotected, giving you maximum flexibility in how you complete and document your work. When you first open the workbook, you'll see the dashboard. This provides a summary of the entire file, together with links to the individual worksheets. The Job Management section shows the total number of items recorded on each job management sheet, together with the number of outstanding items where applicable. The BAS Calculations and Reports section contains links to each of the tax calculation worksheets. It also provides access to draft activity statements and the integrated client account sheet, where you can import or paste ATO account information. A green tick alongside an item indicates that the worksheet is currently in use. Alongside these are additional templates for activity statement-related calculations. On the far right are 40 completely unprotected blank worksheets that you can use for your own working papers and calculations. And in the centre of the dashboard is the Reconciliations section. For each reconciliation item, you can decide whether it is required and what tolerance level should be set. In the Settings section, you also select the start month for using the workbook. Once a BAS period has ended, traffic light indicators appear for each reconciliation item you have enabled from your start date. Green means the item reconciles exactly. Amber means it reconciles within the tolerance you have set. And red means the item does not reconcile, or the comparison amount has not yet been entered. Efficient navigation is particularly important in a workbook of this size. The quickest way to move around the file is through the Customised Accountants menu at the top of the screen. Every worksheet can be accessed directly from this menu. You can also navigate to each worksheet using links on the dashboard. Moving through the workbook, there are several job management worksheets to help you control and document the job. These include a customizable procedures checklist, a to-do list, a queries sheet, a communications sheet for recording items such as emails and telephone conversations, a file notes sheet, a records sheet where you can import or paste supporting records used in completing the work, an activity statements sheet which displays a draft of each BAS including the relevant form labels and reconciliation balances, and an integrated client account sheet where ATO portal reports can be imported or pasted for each period. Let's now move to the GST worksheet. This is where you can save the relevant GST reports and complete the supporting calculations and reconciliations, including GST installment variations where required. In our example, we've imported a GST report from the client's accounting system for the September quarter. From that report, we've entered GST on sales and GST on purchases into the summary table. To reconcile these amounts to the general ledger, we click the Profit and Loss link in the Reconciliation Balances column for the September quarter. Here, we've imported the client's profit and loss statement for the quarter and completed the reconciliation at the top of the worksheet. Below that, we've identified amounts included in the profit and loss statement that do not contain GST. Once the reconciliation is complete, we check any differences shown in the summary and confirm that they are within our selected tolerance. The final figures from the GST summary are then transferred automatically to the BAS Summary. There may also be situations where a client is paying GST installments and the installment needs to be varied. In that case, you enter the ATO installment amount in the summary towards the bottom of the worksheet. Then click the adjacent variation link. Here, you can enter projected annual sales and purchases, excluding GST, to calculate the estimated annual GST liability and the amount payable for the current quarter. Next, let's look at payroll. The payroll worksheet allows you to save payroll reports and summarize the amounts supporting each activity statement. In our example, we've imported a payroll report from the client's accounting system and entered the relevant totals into the summary table. Clicking the Profit and Loss Reconciliation link takes us to the payroll expense reconciliation. Here, you can reconcile wages, PAYG withholding and superannuation expense for the period. The balance sheet reconciliation link takes us to the payroll liability reconciliations. If you are not using the default method of reconciling a BAS control account, you can use option 2 to separately reconcile the PAYG withholding amount owing to the ATO. Below that, you can reconcile the superannuation liability recorded in the balance sheet. In our example, we've pasted a balance sheet at the end of the period, so the relevant balances can be verified and documented. Now let's move to the PAYG installment worksheet. In this example, the client is paying PAYG installments using option 2, the installment rate method. We've pasted a profit and loss statement for the period to support the installment income that will be reported on the BAS. We then enter the ATO installment rate in the summary table. The workbook calculates the installment payable and transfers the result to the BAS summary. In this example, however, we've decided to vary the installment rate. By clicking the variation link, we can enter estimated annual income and expenses and calculate a varied installment rate. The same section can also calculate a varied installment amount where the client is paying installments under the installment amount method. Next is the FBT worksheet. This can be used to calculate a variation to an FBT installment. In our example, we've entered projected annual fringe benefits to estimate the annual FBT liability and calculate the appropriate installment for the current quarter. Now let's look at the BAS summary. As you can see, it's been updated automatically from the information entered throughout the workbook. This gives you an annual summary of the key BAS figures reported during the year. At the end of the financial year, the summary can be copied and pasted directly into the client's annual accounts working paper file. Finally, we'll look at the BAS Reconciliation. This is the default reconciliation method, which compares the balance in the BAS or ATO control account in the client's balance sheet with the ATO integrated client account balance. This provides a single reconciliation of the client's overall BAS position with the ATO. Alternatively, as we saw earlier, you can choose to reconcile the GST and PAYG withholding liabilities separately. That completes our overview of the Accountant's Desktop BAS Working Papers. The workbook is designed to bring your activity statement calculations, supporting records, reconciliations, and job administration together in one flexible Excel file for the entire financial year. Thank you for watching. Our contact details are shown on the screen. so please feel free to contact us if you would like any further information.